the thing right now with this is I'm trying to do shit as simple as possible. I feel like maybe you've seen that in my philosophy a little bit, because I feel like when the more simple I make shit, the more consistent I'll be, and the more I'll continue to do it.
Sure.
Or it's like I'd love to spend hours editing this shit, but I try to do as little editing as possible, and I try to just keep it as simple as possible. So I necessarily don't even need the multiple channels. I mean, it's nice because then you can really go in, you can cut out like I'm talking right now and you're not, so I could make your microphone silent, and then like you could really like get anal about the shit.
Yeah, maybe people will not consciously notice, but for sure people will recognize good quality shit, you know. So they cannot put the finger on it, but they will like it better, like subconsciously, because it's just well made.
Yeah. So, well, right now I try to just do stuff with like, because there's some software stuff where if the microphone is picking up below a certain amount, then it just cuts out. I think it's called like a noise gate. So there's little things that like you can play around with, but really my thing is trying to have as simple of an editing process as possible, just so that way I'm not encumbered by making shit, and that way I can just make more shit, and then I think over time I'll continue to get more like fine tune the details a little bit. Like for example, Ro has a 360 cam, and just like working with that, because it's so much how it works. There's 2 cameras, and then you get to choose your frame, and then so it's like he had the idea, okay, like you could set it like in the middle, and then when I'm talking it's on me, and then when you're talking it's on you, and I'm like, that's awesome, but right now I just want to like have something set up where I can just fucking
quickly
like put shit together, and it's a little bit more simplistic. That way I'm not like, oh, I have to do so much. I'll continue doing it, and then.
No, that's smart, because that's also part of why we sold the stabilizer again, because to set it up you need to be using it constantly to be really like in it, and then you still need 20 minutes if you're really fucking fast, because it has like video transmission, you can fucking remote control it from your cell phone, so all that you need to set it up, and also like the focus motor and like fucking hell. So it was way over the top in the end for us. The few times that we use it, we need to plug and play, you know, like snap the phone on, press on, it self-calibrates, and then ready you are, and fuck the rest, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, we're not professionals in that sense that, you know, okay, the camera is different, obviously, it's not a cell phone, but the cell phones make decent quality for some online shit, you know. You don't need to have cinema quality for that sort of stuff. But
no. Yeah, that's...
So yeah, that was frustrating to realize that it's just too much.
Because that's the thing, it's like in the mind, having the idea, it's like, oh, it'd be cool if there's this, and there's this, and then there's this, the other thing too, and then you do it, and you're like, fuck, that's a lot of work. And then the problem is, if you want to get to a finished product, sometimes you have to cut out all the nice things that we can easily have in our head, but that are just impractical to do in order to finish something, in order to actually put something out. Because I think that's the most important thing with creating, is just making, just fucking making.
Do it, not fucking...
And then over time you'll figure out like what to edit, and then you'll oh, we can do this instead, and we can do this instead, because you'll get your groundings, and you'll like things, you won't have to think about things so much, and then you can add a little bit here and you can add a little bit there. But trying to do everything at once exactly as like your perfect mental image is completely unrealistic. In any creative pursuit.
Yeah, it's so true. So yeah, great setup.
Thank you. No, and I appreciate it too, because it's at this point I appreciate you giving me a chance. That's how it feels, you know, because it's just a stupid little thing, but it's...
No, it's great. You have to get into the practice, you know. Gotta do as many talks, episodes, whatever you want to call it, as you can, like talk to random people that you meet or that are willing.
Mm-hmm.
That's sounds great.
Yeah. No, it's like I kind of like I knew I wanted to do one with you and one with Mario. I mean, I'm sure we could have done plenty. One of the one of the things that I realized, I'm like, because I'm again just sort of like figuring stuff out, getting the eye for it. Even like half of our conversations during lunch or something like that, I'm like, wow, this is the sort of thing that I want to capture, and I'm sort of starting to feel that out a little bit more of the topics, or maybe not even the topics. It's just the flow of like a good conversation that I
Yeah.
want to capture more so. But I figured it'd be better to do it this way, like at the end, because it's why exactly did I have that idea in my mind? I don't know, because we've had a little bit of time to get to know each other, and no, it's crazy. A month and a half.
Went by fucking fast, huh? No?
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I didn't even realize that it's already 6 weeks.
yeah,
Is it?
yeah. I think so.
Did you come mid May?
Mid-May. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's
Time is flying, man.
yeah. So it's funny because I don't know. I don't even know that like time goes by fast, but it's like, has it always been going by fast? So it's like
think
it
it-
doesn't feel like 6 weeks, but like what does 6 weeks feel like? I don't even know.
I feel like it's been accelerating in the last 2 years, 1 year maybe, like substantially, not just because I'm getting older. Of course, that's also a factor, but like in the last 12 months, 18 months, maybe it has accelerated noticeably. I cannot even say why, but I mean, again, 6 weeks, that's just, it feels like, okay, it cannot be more than 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's, okay, 6, wow. Fuck.
Well, I was talking about this with Mario. Like when I first, this is the interesting thing about traveling. Like when I first got here, I was here for 2 days, and it felt like a week or something. Like because
The travel, the 2
no,
days.
like when I first got here, like the first weekend I was here, and I don't know if that's because everything is new, so everything is slower because it takes more time to
Yeah,
register.
for
Like I
sure.
don't know exactly how time is processed, but it definitely, when things are new and novel, they seem to elongate.
Yeah, you
know?
get so much more input
Yeah.
in one short little time frame that normally you would spread it out more, the input, and now you're getting so, like, we're feeding you with whatever shit, even taking a tour, not even content. It's just like the visual, what you're getting must be quite, you know, feels like it's squeezed into little time, basically.
Yeah, and then like once, and then like from the second week on, time has felt really quick because I've adjusted, and I'm like, this feels like a base. Like I feel settled in, so then things start ramping up because it's like I know my schedule, where I'm sleeping, whatever else. It just it's not something conscious,
Yeah.
so it just flows by quickly.
Right.
It's an interesting thing. But no, we were talking earlier about the traveling thing, and how, like I was mentioning, how for me, the people I meet while traveling are more interesting, or I'm able to connect more versus people that are one way their whole time. And I think that must be interesting for you because, I mean, you're constantly meeting new people. I mean, over these last
Yeah,
have you been doing
almost 5
volunteering since the beginning?
Yeah, pretty much since day one.
So for 5 years, basically, you've been seeing people that are traveling around, connecting with different people, and I'm sure, obviously, maybe you connect with more people more than others, or you like more people more than others, or I guess people connect with the project more than others. Like maybe some people use the workaway or the woof thing just to travel,
Oh yeah.
whereas other people, like for me, I would have done workaway, but I chose to woof because I wanted specifically to learn more about organic farming. But I know there's a lot of people that just use these to travel, which is great. But I think I'm sure you notice that there's a difference in excitement or energy.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we obviously try to filter these people out. We had a lot of them and it's fine, but we're not, you know, we're not so keen on having them anymore. So that's why we really try to figure out, okay, why is this, what's the reason? Why does this person want to come? Are they really genuinely interested in what we're doing? Do they want to learn? Is that something they want to do in the future? Or, I don't know, maybe start a project by themselves? And we usually favor these people that really have a genuine like interest, and they want to learn shit for themselves, for their life. And that's for us also the most rewarding situation, because you get more questions, you get more involvement of the people. They're just there more, you know. Whereas we had last year, we had people that obviously like were like checking the watch every 5 minutes, okay, and trying to finish their tasks and then fuck off to the beach or whatever. It's fine, but it's just not very rewarding for us. We're not looking for slaves or for workforce. We're looking for an exchange, like also learning from people, potentially, you know. And so yeah, it just has to be kind of a nice exchange on both sides, and then that's the best experience normally.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I'm in a situation where I want to learn as much as possible and get as knowledgeable as possible about self-sustainability, and specifically with food. And there's a couple different ways to attack that. I think like you could go into class and do that, but I figured it would make more sense to like actually stay with people that are doing it and see what's happening there and like learn from it practically, and then also like be able to like look online and like study concepts and you know, like apply the theoretical with the practical as well. But one thing that I wonder is, because I'm sure the most that I'll learn about food is when I decide to do something myself, when I start my own project, you know, and that's sort of like a tricky question. Like I'm a very analytical person, and so I want it to be like the right time, perfect, but it's not. It's, you know, it's never. We're never going to be able to figure it out analytically. Like how much time to spend studying or learning or absorbing, and then when to just start the project. Because I think I understand that no matter when the project starts, that I'm gonna realize that I know 10% of what I need to know, or whatever that is, and then I'm gonna have to figure everything else out as I'm doing it. But I wonder, is that something you experienced with this project? I'm sure you were like looking into doing stuff. You were interested in permaculture, I know, like going to different courses. But how did you decide now's the time, I'm going to start this project and dive in?
I mean, it was not like a decision that you make on the, I mean, a decision, it for me at least, it was a long process to finally, and then suddenly it was natural. It didn't even take a decision. It was just happening organically. But the process to go there, to get to that point where things start to unfold automatically, that was a 10-year long process. Like first I was in the city, you know, like living professional, doing like working as in front of the computer basically as an editor, and being interested in different topics, but I don't know, it was not, it did not ever cross my mind to become a farmer, like at that time, right? So only when I started to educate myself about other types of realities that might exist or not, I became more aware of, okay, there's more out there to explore than you might think. And then I happened to, you know, find permaculture and got really interested in that because it was a solution-based philosophy, not just whatever theory. And then, yeah, bit by bit, year by year, the urge to start something with my hands got stronger and stronger. And then I came here to Badolato with my ex-girlfriend, and I just saw the potential, having, you know, done 2 courses until then, and, you know, some workaways myself. I felt, okay, this is a fucking great place. This is incredible. There is so much potential. So for me, at that point, was kind of clear or obvious that now or never. This is just so. I felt it with all my body and my being, that it's not going to be a better chance than now. Now is the time. Just go for it, and the rest will be sorted when you're there, when you get there. So and the process to find the place actually was exactly like that. It was just so smooth. So okay, I mean, some doubts were still there, obviously, because you can never get that 100% perfect feeling, I guess, or maybe you can, but you know, because it took still, what did it take from, yeah, probably a year, let's say, from the point where we found the place, we looked at it, and then we bought it. It was not necessarily a full year, but 9 months, let's say. So of course, in these 9 months, you will have some doubts and some second thoughts, but all in all, I still have to say that the process was so smooth and such a no-brainer in the end. Because I had done this process, like, of getting to the decision to want to do something like that, was taken much earlier, or has been building, like, organically over the 10 years basically, and then it was just, okay, this is it, let's do it. And there was not really some obstacles or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely, it has its own magic when you start doing it and not theoretizing or kind of conceptualizing too much in your head, because yeah, obviously you can do that all your life without ever starting.
Yeah.
And for me, it was fine to have had this time of 10 years, you know, to conceptualize, to try, even with different people. I you know, started to look for property, and we even put our names under some contracts there, but nothing ever materialized, like really. And so for me, was quite obvious that this is now it's gonna happen, you know.
Yeah.
Even before it was safe, I felt like, okay, this is it. And yeah, I didn't need to worry about anything. It was just a smooth kind of.
You just put that in, like.
Was intention. The
intention,
intention
yeah.
probably was so strong at that point that there was no other option for reality to unfold, basically.
Yeah.
if you wish.
No, it's interesting how shit works like that. But no, it's reassuring that shit just takes time. And
Unfortunately, sometimes, yeah, you need some patience. Also in gardening, I mean, producing your own food is a laborious thing. And or growing trees, even more so.
yeah.
So yeah, patience. But nature, I mean, nature is timeless, you know. Nature is, there is nothing that, there's no rush. Why? You know, you have your seasons, you have your cycles, you have your natural, transitions, and so I think we're best off if we copy nature in any sense, you know, like also having the patience to just wait and sit and look and observe.
Is it copying nature or like recognizing our own nature?
Yeah,
Or is
probably
that one and the same?
that's probably better put, not copy it, but yeah, in a way, in a way we're too caught up in our minds to really be able to become that, instead of, so we have to kind of copy it in a way, like observe it and try to become it. But yeah, for some it's probably easier than others to become it,
Yeah.
instead of just faking till you make it.
Yeah.
Like, basically, I don't know. I think there is no right or wrong, as long as you have the right intention.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to find their own way of achieving stuff, or even, you know, tackling stuff. So I guess, again, there's no rush. If you don't live it, learn it in this lifetime, then maybe it's not meant to be learned for you for this lifetime. Maybe it's another thing that you need to learn more, but I don't know. I just, what I'm trying to say probably is, yeah, don't judge it if it takes more time, or don't judge yourself if it takes more time to, because, you know, in your mind it's all easy and, you know, a quickie in the end, but experience tells me that it's not like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Putting that intention out there and just being patient with it. I think that's been successful for me. Or I mean, even just being here, I've had to recognize patience. Like things don't come instantly.
Where did you have to use more patience? In what situation?
Well, I wanted to leave my environment at home. I just wanted to sort of running away from shit, I guess. And in my mind it was, I just need to connect with people more. I just need to connect with people more. And then I got here and I knew in advance that like it would just be me as a volunteer, and like I knew all that, but I'm like, I don't know, I just was holding something in the future. And then I got here and then I realized, nope. And I sort of had to connect with myself. That was sort of the patience that I had to. I had to be patient with myself instead of seeking for something in the future, more so being more comfortable right now in this moment with who I was and with what I was dealing with. And then also a little bit of faith, like from a bit of the traveling that I've done. What I realize is every time, like as a traveler, it's coming and going, and every time you go, there's opportunities you leave behind, right? And so I think maybe one of the instincts I had was like maybe I should just go somewhere else, or I should keep running, or something like that. That's an instinct. And but I realized, no, I think I said I was going to be here till June or whatever, right? I'm going to stay here for that time. I'm just going to be patient and just like see what happens. And just like, and so through that I had more time to just be with myself and to process some shit. And then slowly I began finding more connections, just through a couple people in like the Borgo, or like when the film crew came, and I was talking to some Calabrian locals, and like we were talking about like maybe like doing a project or something like that, and I'm just starting to make these connections. Or then like Ro gets here or something like that. And so to me that's like you test the universe and the universe will prove itself, you know. And for me that was a lesson in patience. Like I knew it before, and I'm like, I'm just gonna be patient, and like not even necessarily knowing that I don't even know what that means still. But yeah, just sticking with one thing. Okay, I had the intention to stay here for a set amount of time. I feel an agitation, but let me actually take the time to see where that is from within, instead of running away from it, sort of thing. And then from that, I began to get everything I wanted. Like I got what I needed, and like as soon as I was comfortable, because I was more so uncomfortable being with myself. But I mean, after a while, like not so long, like a couple weeks, I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine by myself. And as soon as I felt that, then I started to connect with people more. So it was sort of like I had to go into the need, or like I don't know exactly what it was. It was sort of this reverse thing. Like I thought I needed the other thing, but as soon as I was comfortable with this, then I had the other thing.
Right.
And I don't know, just with nature and like how things fall into place. And I think when we look at nature, like because we have this analytical, intellectual ability to separate things and to divide and to look at it from the middle or whatever else, but we also have like a intuitive feeling, intelligence as well, that in society I don't think it's as valued, and I don't think that we've exercised it as much as humans.
No.
Maybe I think there was a point in time where we were much more in tune with our intuition and how the world felt in our own nature, which connected us with everything else. And we've sort of created this separation, like in this like hubris of like it's this ego, like we're separate from nature, we're different, we're superior, which I just think has, I mean, at least for me, when I go into that intellect, like it's fun to like have like and it's useful in some ways, but I think there's also a lot of suffering led from it, from this idea of separation, versus going into this feeling, no, like we are connected to everything. Like there isn't a rush to get this or to get that. We don't need to run around. It's all coming in its own time if we just align to ourselves.
Right. And that's a very valuable lesson that you seem to have learned very early on in your life. Congrats to that. It's really, it's almost everything basically. I mean, if you really live close to that sentiment, then you're just settled basically. That's all you need. Why did we come to that now? Sorry.
I don't know. But
yeah, copying nature, like copying in brackets, instead of becoming it. Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's like for me, everything that I'm learning, it feels very necessary, because the alternative feels so draining and so miserable. And so for me, it's a necessary thing. And then also, I want to, I don't know, do bigger things in terms of like, talking about creating community, and education, and I don't know, I feel like I have grand visions, and so it feels necessary for me to, and that's a tricky thing, because then there could be pressure there. So it's always this like paradoxical back and forth thing, but I don't know if it's a desire or what exactly, if it's a need necessarily to create a world or to shape an environment that I feel comfortable existing in and would feel comfortable starting a family in. And then sharing knowledge and improving my life to improve the lives of others, is a deep thing for me, especially because like I like economically, like I don't exactly have to have so many worries. Like I'm grateful for my parents, like both my parents are business owners. I don't really have to worry about like my next meal or something like that. Like, and if I really needed help, I could get help. Of course, I want to provide for myself, but the way that I look at it, like, so my grandpa started a funeral home, and how funeral homes work is they, it's a generational thing. So you get, so a lot of the people that he knew, right, that he got relations with, as they are now dying. I know it's kind of morbid, but now that my dad's running the business, you know, that goes down to him and that benefits him. And then if I wanted to go into that pursuit, then I would even have it expanded more. I don't think I'm necessarily so interested in it, although I would love to innovate a lot. Like
Mycelium cocoon.
yes, exactly. I would love to innovate in terms of the whole
such a
funereal
cool-
business. But the way that I look at it, like that's them helping me, and I want to use that as a stepping stone to go even further and to do even more. I think a lot of people look at their situation, especially nowadays, like with, you know, like I don't even know exactly, but a lot of people are like afraid of privilege nowadays, and I think that's such a stupid thing.
Why would somebody be afraid of privilege?
Well, I think it's like this liberal thing of, you know, like I like wanting everyone to be equal or something like that. Like I don't even know exactly where that comes from, or it's like people use being victims or being impoverished as like as a means to get reciprocity from others. So I think people feel like if, you know, because it's a point of being attacked. You know, it's like oh, like you don't have any struggles because your parents have some money or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think people are afraid of that. But I think that's ridiculous because it's just it's what you choose to do with it. Like you could choose to do nothing with it. I'd rather choose to do something. It's like having knowledge. Like being a I was talking with Joel the other day about like because his whole thing like with we were talking about how learning is like equal process, like the teacher and the student, it's an equal process. Maybe I was also talking about this with you, I can't remember.
No, I don't
Maybe
think
not. But being on an equal plane with students and teachers together, it's just one person has more knowledge that they can share, but then the person that has more knowledge, as they share it, then they also get more knowledge. We're all going up together. It's the same way with money or with anything. And that's sort of the frame that I want to look at it from, is how can we connect with each other and all lift each other up, you know, instead of being divisive, like you have this, I don't have that, I have this, you don't have that, you know, like whatever, like this whole like comparison thing. We're all different. That's life. That's what we both appreciate about nature, or, you know, like a syntropic system, whatever. It's like, it's fucking cool, like this diversity. Every plant is different and they're all doing different things in the soil, and, you know, you could, you know, wow, it's fascinating, right? It's the same thing with us, you
Right.
know? We all
the
have
more diverse,
yeah, we all have
the
these
more interesting.
exactly. We all have these different qualities that we're bringing to life. There's no need to be ashamed of that, you know. It's funny how many things can be. It goes. So is it a copying of nature, or is it like seeing our reflection in nature, or I don't know exactly what that is, but there is something there. There's a couple different things there, like I feel like a good meditation, a good exercise is imagining oneself as like a tree or like a plant or something like that. I think it makes it less judgmental. If you look at a tree in whatever situation, you're not like, oh, that tree should be taller, oh, that tree should have more leaves, or whatever. You're like, no, it's doing what it can in the situation that it's in. And you can be amazed, wow, that tree's growing in a cliffside, or, you know, that tree has really good, you know, soil conditions or whatever else.
Right.
But I think we can look at it about a lot more objectively and appreciate what's there. And I find that as a good exercise. Just to, yeah, it's a reflection, it's a copying, whatever that term is. There is a connection there, and unveiling that and digging that up, I think is a source of a lot of, I don't know, joy or appreciation, which leads to joy, or whatever that is.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say to that. Sorry. You already said it.
That's okay. No, I mean, I guess where I'm at, going back, when you started this project, how much did you end up learning versus how much did you already know?
I mean, I don't even know if I should call what I learned theoretically, if I should call that knowledge, because it's, in the end, it's not. It's just information, but knowledge goes way deeper. It has also to do with your body. When certain tasks are just stored into your muscle memory, or it's just more tangible, more yeah, when you actually touch the soil. I can be on YouTube my whole life and think I'm very smart, but in the end, if I go to the garden, then I know nothing. So yeah, I think I have the learning curve was, I mean, super steep arriving here. And then it really started, you know, being a learning or gathering knowledge. Whereas before it was just entertaining myself a little bit with all this interesting shit that is out there. And when I came here, or we came here, I realized pretty quickly that we don't know nothing. Even though after 2 PDCs, you know, permaculture design courses, you have a different lens maybe that you're looking at the world around you, but still you haven't done shit. So yeah, I would say most of my today's knowledge and capabilities have stemmed from the last 5 years, more or less. Obviously it's hard to really separate what has been learned before and what's been learned after, but
Sure.
I think it feels much more substantial what I've learned, like with my combined, like theory and practical stuff together, not just one separately. I think that's just how it is, because it's more holistic. It's not just one or the other, it's both.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it feels so much more rich and so much more substantial. But when you actually put your, you know, when it counts, you put all your money, your dedication, whatever it is that you put into a project or something that you do. It could be art, it could be anything. But yeah, it's fine to think about it first, but it really counts when you set the first stroke on the paper or whatever, like the first shovel into the ground.
Yeah.
First, yeah, whatever it is. If you build a fence for a garden, then the first fucking fence post that you put in. That's where you completely start to change your attitude. Also, the motivation is much higher, in my opinion, when you start doing it. I had a lot of motivation learning, but then doing it was even like another level. Like it was so much more fun, so much more you know, with the volunteers, with like, let's build a fucking garden now, and everybody was so happy to you know, be able to put their hands in the dirt, whatever they did.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's been quite a journey the last 5 years. So dense, like so diverse also in the tasks, in the different tasks, in different topics, different whatever, like anything from the social to the agricultural to the spiritual, anything. Like it's just been so rewarding.
Even when like when you would do a PDC and you would get your hands in the dirt. Is that different? I mean, I'm sure like you're talking about the motivation. It's different when it's your own project and you have your own goals and you have your own specific things and it's for for what you want to do. So it comes a lot more naturally. But do you think there's a different learning curve there versus can you obtain practical knowledge, working for other people or learning on other projects, or is it different? Is it still deeper when it's your own project? Would you say?
That's very difficult to answer, but I think you can take away as much as you want from a learning experience, be it your own project or in a PDC that somebody else teaches. I think it has only to do with your own perception of that. I don't think necessarily there is a different quality. I mean, I learned so much in my PDCs that it was almost too much, like to store, too much because it's mostly theory at the end. You have a few hands-on exercises and stuff, but that's not nearly enough to balance the theory out, you know. So that for me was more of a problem to retain, like to kind of integrate it into my being, my body, my life at the time, because I didn't have a land yet. So it was all kind of, okay, I have to store it, so I will remember later, 2 years down the line, or 3 or 5, to use it, to access it again. And that's more like the problem. So I guess, yeah, it doesn't really matter if it's your own project or another project, as long as the theory and the practical stuff is kind of in harmony or in more or less in balance. So that's why I think we're keen on also providing the background information when we do something. When we do, even if it's just a ditch, like digging a ditch, then usually if there is something to be said about that ditch or whatever the goal is in that project, then we usually want to transport that too, just to give some context. I think that's the key, you know, to provide a context in the synthesis of practical.
How everything fits together.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you use that example because I feel like that it's not simple. like the ditch example. I mean, one of the things that I've put in my mind that I want to look into more and learn more about is water retention, like from this project, because that's something that I'm inspired to learn about more. That and also fire management, because my task was fire management. Now I'm thinking, well, how the fuck could you do this without having to do this month and a half long task? You know, that if I had my own land in this environment, I'd like to avoid. But how could I avoid it safely to get to the same goal of, okay, we're mitigating fire damage. How can I get to that same goal with a different process? That's sort of where my mind goes. And also, I think, you know, just even like in this area or in any maybe Mediterranean drier climates, being able to retain water, especially, you know, if we are going down in precipitation, if that's a trend that'll that'll stay with us, and I think it'll be more. I think it'll be increasingly essential to know how to keep as much water that lands on the land to go into the land as
Right.
possible, and that's something. Because I used to think of that in lieu with biomass, and from being here, I'm like, oh, you can't just get wood chips for free. You don't really have as much access to biomass as the environment I was in. People are just fucking throwing it away, essentially. It's a little bit of a different situation, but you can get biomass by like growing shit on your land. That's the easiest way to do that. But to get shit to grow on your land, you need water. So that's where my mind has sort of gone back to, like, the most fundamental thing is water, and like, okay, observation is the first step with land, but then I'm sort of creating this process in my mind of, like, how I would do it, or what the lens that I'm seeing through, and that's something where I'm like, wow, I really want to dive deeper into this whole concept. So it's just funny you said ditch, because I think it could be a little bit more complex than a simple ditch.
No, but I was just mentioning a ditch because it's a stupid work usually, and there is not much. People don't see much sense in it, to dig a ditch, trench, and that's why even there you can find a context. You can find some related information that might help them to, like, enjoy it more, to understand better why they have to do this, or why they even, hold a pickaxe in their hands.
Yeah.
And so that is just what we like to do, and I think I would appreciate the same from any other learning experience, to get as much context as possible, like in a holistic way. How is it connected, and why is it important to think about this or that, and stuff like that.
I think that makes a world of a difference, and I think also, like, in working here for the short time I have, the tasks I've most enjoyed are the ones where I'm working with you or with Mario, because then, I mean, I'm sure I'm slowing things down because I love to blabber, but that's when I get to connect more and to understand more of what we're doing, and how you guys see it, how you guys see what we're doing, because it's different when it's just like, using your example, dig the ditch, versus, we need to connect this to this because we're working on these two things, and then there's so much more, and then it's like, oh yeah, like that, we want to accomplish the task. I guess that's what it is. It's seeing the full picture of the task, what the goal is, what we're trying to get to, instead of just the granular, this is what I have to do, is dig with the shovel or whatever else, and seeing that goal point, at least for me, and I think probably for most other people, I think that's when you get a lot of the motivation of, yes, we're helping to
achieve this specific thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is what we're doing.
Even though we might not see it as in the 2 weeks that we're here, but still we can contribute to building a pond, building or whatever, regenerate this piece of land by doing this or that. But I totally see the point that you're making, with that you're enjoying it more when you have a direct contact with one of us, working together on something. First of all, it's more enjoyable to collaborate, maybe because you have to help each other holding a piece or whatever, or you just talk about the deeper meaning of why we do it. And unfortunately, you have been a bit late in the season for that to happen more often. So it was just like the only big thing remaining was the cleaning, and that's basically why there wasn't so many opportunities to have these situations. Earlier in the season, you would have done more gardening, you would have done many other things, composting, whatever, like more hands-on, that might be more useful than just cleaning, like, or cutting the...
I hope it was useful.
No, for sure. I'm not saying it wasn't useful, but I'm saying for yourself, for your own experience, for your own learning, probably is more useful to build a hot compost than doing the 10th day of cleaning with the weed trimmer.
Well, I love what you said earlier about it's about how much knowledge you want to get. You're talking about the classes because
Intention.
Because for me, I'm like in every situation I'm like I'm gonna learn as much as I can. So even like from frustration, I try to see how much can I learn here, right? And that's where I was telling you about. Well, now, because I'm like, this is a fucking task, this is a fucking task. Like, I would not want to do this every year for sure. So what are some? Is there anything else possible? That's where my mind goes to. But if I didn't have the frustration, and I was just looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can just do that, and I would have that in my mind. Whereas now, I can target, like my curiosity is more targeted.
How to avoid this sort of labor, and replace it with something more,
systematic.
Yeah.
Instead of something so repetitive, where how can we, build biomass or build fire breaks or retain more water? What are some strategies of mitigating fire that are more meaningful to me instead of
Yeah, sure, I get it. I mean, it's also related a lot to the context that you're in, like location. What are the environmental factors? Are you exposed to wind? Are you exposed to potential fires from outside? All of that. How hydrated is the landscape? What is the topography? What is even the plants, the predominant plants around? That already kind of puts you in a little bit of a predicament as to what you're able to do with this piece of land or this property, how you can transform it maybe or not. So, but in any case, I think regardless where you are and how it looks, I think what I've learned just recently actually is if you're trying to let's say if you choose the approach that is closest to nature, and I'm gravitating now slowly towards this entropic kind of idea, retaining water, building soil, adding like growing biomass, and all that together creates exactly what you said. You don't need to cut the grass because there is not much more space. Like I'm exaggerating a bit, but slowly you're just having lines or even closed spaces, closed forests, future forests, that actually are able to regenerate themselves or to keep the moisture, the little moisture that comes down from as rain. They are making the best of that, and they store it, they capture it, and they grow more biomass.
You use it many times.
Right.
The same drop of water gets used by many different plants.
Right. So I guess that would be the only way moving towards to if you don't want the repetitive, mechanized, boring stuff.
Yeah, that's totally the camp I'm in. And another factor, you're talking about environmental things. Another factor is opinions of those around you, like your neighbors' opinions, because that matters. I mean, a big reason, everyone around here expects this is how you clean the land, this is how you do it, and if you don't, then they get pissed, and they're totally justified in how they feel, because when they see your land not cleaned or whoever's land not cleaned, that they see that as a threat to them. They see as that could make the fire go to the trees, and then once the fire's in the trees, then it's going to go on my trees, and then I'm going to fucking lose my old harvest. And so I understand where that fear is coming from, and then that's just another factor to consider, is it's hard to do different things, especially when people have big emotional like things, like,
Yeah.
you know.
That's also part of why we're actually conforming with it. Otherwise, we wouldn't give so many, shits about it. Honestly, because it's not what we believe in. It's not the way. But I mean, we kind of still cheat our way around it a little bit, in not really doing a great job in cutting all of it, leaving always the stubble a little bit longer than you would be expected to. And yeah, now year 5 will start with the first syntropic system. So that's, in my opinion, the real revolution. Gonna be when you have enough biomass on your land everywhere. I mean,
Start small.
yeah. But I'm saying, like, to project it a bit. If you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling your biomass, like, as opposed to having monoculture olive growth, you have to like multiply it tenfold at least, if not more, to make a difference in terms of what your goal is, like soil, water retention, soil improvement, biomass, blah blah, all of that, soil building. You need to step up the game considerably. In just adding so much more. But in my opinion, that's the only way to kind of mitigate all those dangers. Fire, be it flood, be it drought,
Yeah.
be it anything.
Yeah. And then it's the most rewarding too, because it's like it's not like you put one token in and you get one token out, or half a token out. It's like you get it compounds. You know, your energy. I don't know what that metaphor was, but your energy magnifies. You know, when you plant a seed, that seed grows, and then like things multiply,
Right.
and that to me is so much. Like even the feeling, like, because I haven't done production gardens. I've just done ornamental landscapes and gardens. But even from, you know, planting ornamental whatever, and just going back and checking on it every year, like at my parents' house or whatever, I get this feeling, like the way that I like to put it, I get this feeling that I'm growing with it, or they're growing with me, you know, and that to me, that's such a wholesome feeling to not be growing alone. You know, it's like I can remember when I did that garden, you know, and I can remember, you know, like kind of the state of mind I was in, the motivation of why I did it, and then I can imagine, you know, how it looked then, and then I can see the progression in my mind, and I think that's such a beautiful thing to have something to be close with, even if it's, you know, plants, just something to grow with. I'm sure maybe you've felt something similar with this property.
Yeah, you create connection in a way. I mean, I don't know. Everybody has their own, you know, kind of feelings or perception about when they create something. I mean, you know, in sense of planting things, you create a garden, you create a nice whatever landscape. That I mean by creating, not that you create the plant itself, but
Yeah, exactly.
still I guess you create a connection to what you've built, what you've done, and maybe even with the parts that make up that landscape, you know, like you said, with a bush or with a tree or anything that has life or builds life. It's part of life. And it's a very rewarding thing in the end. And I'd never have thought that, again, I'll be a farmer at some point. It's just happened, you know.
Being a farmer for the last 4 years, how would you compare it to other careers or other jobs that you've had? Is it more rewarding?
It's definitely more demanding. I'm not sure about reward because that reward is kind of how you perceive your work. So I'm still not very rewarded, let's say, by what I do, which is my own perception. It's not anybody else's fault or nature's fault or the weather's fault or whatever. It's just how I look at it. And that's obviously something I need to be more conscious about and kind of process things in a different way or get my reward, my gratification from not from achieving things, but maybe just from being in nature, from more subtle things than, oh, I did that, I achieved that, and look how tired I am, I'm fucking the best. That's kind of outdated model. I tried to do that in the first years, and it didn't happen. I mean, it didn't. The only thing that happened was I had 2 burnouts the first 2 years. So apparently that's the wrong approach. And yeah, I don't know. It's not easy to look at what you're doing without, kind of judging or not judging. Judging is the wrong word, but kind of putting a, like put it even on the scale, like good or bad or whatever it is. You just without labeling it. That's really for me the toughest thing to achieve. To just be so in the flow that you don't even. It doesn't matter what you do or how you do it, as long as the result is helping nature. But you cannot measure your success by how much.
I mean, is it? Because the other thing too is you can't control the result, but you can control your effort. So maybe that's another thing. It's like I've put this much effort in, because like most people look at it like, did I get the amount of zeros that I wanted in my check? Did I is the result enough? Did I get the house? Did I get the car? Or is it I put enough effort in? Maybe that's something to find gratification in as well.
Yeah, I'm still kind of figuring it out, so I don't really know if I can talk too much about it.
Well, it seems like you've maybe corrected course enough that aligns, maybe not enough, but more so to align with yourself. If you noticed it, you had 2 burnouts in the first 2 years, and now for the next 2 years, I don't know if one's building up. Maybe I've helped in the last 6 weeks, but maybe that's been something. Just these little course corrections, getting more and more in tune.
Yeah, for sure, they are needed or were needed for me to even realize it. And then now that I'm more conscious and more observing, I can only improve it. I don't think I will have to go back to being burned out. Hopefully not. But yeah, my health story is kind of still a good pointer to, to my approach, I'd say. Like I see the story that's going on right now. The health issues that I have with my teeth are also a strong indicator of, still it's not in tune, it's not like in the flow state. You still have to adjust your doings, or you're even like how you perceive what you're doing. And and yeah, it's obviously a long journey. So I know that there is something to be learned, but I cannot really tell you yet
Sure.
what it is. I mean, I have some ideas, but again, it's a bit too premature to really talk about that in detail.
Yeah.
But I'll take it for sure as a good pointer.
Yeah. And I don't know if I can say that's the fun. That's what I want to say is that's the fun of life. Maybe that's not the fun of it, but that's maybe that just is life. As you know, we as intellectual creatures, I want to learn everything. I want to get all the knowledge, and then I have all the power, whatever. Then I have no problems whatsoever. Maybe part of life is that continual curiosity and sort of the eternal mystery of what is going on. I've adjusted my theory a little bit, but no, that's not right, and I've got to continue. And I don't think we'll ever have all the answers, and maybe it's better that way because then it would probably be boring.
Right.
It's kind of fun to still to have wonder and to have to not know and to seek deeper into that. It's a lot of I find a lot of joy from that process of curiosity.
Yeah, I guess the older you get, the more you will, kind of get to a conclusion that it doesn't actually matter at all what the fuck you're learning or not. The more important thing will be to, be in tune and accept whatever comes your way, and that there is not really anything that you need to do. I mean, I'm just, kind of talking to myself. I'm not giving advice or anything because it's definitely not true for any life stage. But now that I'm kind of getting to the second half of my life, I'm kind of gravitating more towards these ideas a little bit. Curiosity is still there, and I still sure find pleasure in learning or applying new stuff every day. But I can also feel that there is this other side growing slowly, that, it's not really about concepts or logical or learning or all of that. It's more about being in the end. And that's, again, I don't I'm not saying that I'm really good at that. It's just something that has been coming up more and more lately, and yeah, it's worth pursuing for sure.
And maybe how I want to reframe it. Maybe it's not curiosity in terms of a totally intellectual thing, but because when I think about it, it's like that childlike wonder. That's joy and that humility, but that goes like that wonder is less analytical, and it ties more into just that being,
right?
into just
It's
being
less
in the universe
analytical,
and just the awe of what's going on, and it's so tough because in that state it's hard to separate it. What's appreciation? What's curiosity? What's wonder? It's sort of this all-encompassing feeling of existence,
Right.
and that. I don't know, that is a wonderful, wonderful place to be.
No, of course. I mean, I see that both should be there equally, or to whatever percentage, whatever, but it's just the possibility to be in awe without conceptualizing whatever you're admiring, whatever you're seeing, whatever you're taking in too much, So that, I think, will get more and more important as you grow older. And in the end, the analytical part probably doesn't play a big role anymore, because you're way past your, life, let's say your active life, where you have to, make some money and build yourself a base for your family, blah, 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 feed a family, all of that. So with 70, 80 or whatever, you're way past that. And therefore there is a natural transition probably gonna happen. I don't know yet. I'm not there, but that's how I imagine that slowly, as you get older, this other state of being will become more present, like just naturally. It's not
That's
even
the feeling you get.
yeah. I mean, I start getting it. It's not like I already have it that often, but it's something that I would like to have more often, instead of, like pushing always for the next big thing and kind of, like what's the next biggest concept that I need to have or do or learn or understand. Yeah, it's kind of, getting a bit more mixed, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's still some, I don't know what to call it, joy, gratification, like, what is that drives us, that meaning? There's still some in both fields, but you're noticing that one is going down and one is starting to go up in terms of intellectual curiosity and just intuitive existence. I don't know how to label it
Yeah.
exactly, but that's sort of the relationship you're pointing out.
Right, the two
Okay.
poles kind of
Yeah.
that ideally are in harmony,
Yeah.
as for as much of your life as possible. You cannot always be in the being state. That would
Yeah.
not make you very productive in a sense, or I don't know. It would be fantastic for yourself, like for your own experience, but you cannot really relate to anything or anybody like that. Not really. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's not true. But yeah, I guess it's the polarity between the doing and the being that will shift naturally.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of trying to.
Gotcha. The doing and the being.
Yeah.
It's a nice, simple way. But have you found, like, with decisions that, like, I guess it could be any decision, but now I'm sort of going back to this because I know you sort of answered it, that was very intuitive, and that you didn't really, that everything just felt right. Are those the best decisions, the ones that feel right and that don't necessarily require? I mean, that's sort of what I'm thinking as well. That if you don't have to think about it so much, it's probably a better decision. Or if you think about it a lot and then you come to a conclusion, and you believe that conclusion more so, if that's a better decision to make, or if it's the feeling decision. Because I don't necessarily know how to quantify that. I've been getting more into the intuitive aspects of myself. I would label myself as more of an analytical person, and like you were saying about the balance, I think what I've found is that probably my greatest tool, because I'm naturally more analytical, is that intuitive side, because then I have the balance, and then I'm more. But in terms of like making decisions, it's tough because I can't. There's too many options, like in terms of like traveling or like deciding where to go or whatever. Like I almost like get burnt out just like trying to, like, fucking, like I have no idea. It's almost it's like why I like Luigi's restaurant. Like I like the fact you just sit down, you don't have to think about looking at a menu. I hate looking at a menu at a restaurant because then I'm like, fucking what do I want? What am I not gonna want that I'm gonna get frustrated? It's like it's too much of a mental fucking thing. And so I don't even know how I'm framing this question, but like.
No, I think I know what you're trying to get at. So your question points towards like how best find your own land? Is that, or not necessarily land, but let's say
Yeah.
future project
Yeah,
or
yeah,
future
yeah.
direction or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever. Like, but that's how I understood it.
No, exactly.
And that's so individual that I don't even know if, you know, if I describe you my way. I mean, I have been describing my way like that it just felt right, but that doesn't obviously help you much because it's such an intangible thing to hear from somebody. Um, what I really can say though is trust your gut more than your brain, because even though you might feel that it's not something to be trusted too much because you're way more analytical and less trained in hearing what your gut has to say. But your heart, your gut knows much more, much better. They are much higher intelligence than your mind can ever reach. I mean, your mind is great for, you know, survival stuff, for anything logical, anything that navigate this world like in a objective, logical way. Whereas finding your true meaning, your passion, your purpose has nothing to do with your mind and everything with your gut. So I don't know. It's a difficult advice to make or give, because again, everybody has their own relationship with their gut or with their instincts. And my decision to even purchase land came solely from the mind in the beginning. It wasn't the gut feeling, obviously, because I never even thought of becoming a farmer or self-sufficient or whatever. It came through a fantasy or a thing that my mind had created. And funny enough, it still was the right decision in that sense. It took extremely long, if you think about it, like from the moment where I kind of felt, okay, this could be a way out, this could be a solution, this could be a way forward. Like from where I was 12 years ago or 15. Now I have to, it was, I don't know, 2008, 2009 when I started thinking about those things. Studying research, permaculture. Actually, that came later. First, permaculture came maybe 2012, 2013. So yeah, we're still talking about 10, 12, 15 years, whatever. But it took me that long also because it wasn't a decision from my heart. I wasn't in it yet, right, at that point. So all these trials that I did with people, different people, other friends, people that I'm not in contact anymore today. The mind was so convincing that this is the shit that I should be doing that I just tried to force it, you know. I tried to make it happen with just sheer willpower, and nothing materialized. And why? Because it wasn't in alignment with what I really wanted or what I needed. So I don't know. I think you just have to trust, and that's easier said than done, obviously. But I felt like in the past 15 years, I felt like I've been taken care of so fucking well that it's just unbelievable.
What do you mean?
So like trusting the universe in the sense that opportunities will come at the right time. I mean, there will be always opportunities, but with trying to trust your gut more, you will be able to see which one it actually is that you need to be doing. So, yeah, I mean, that's still not very tangible, I know, but
I see what you're saying.
it's more realistic in a way, and also more foolproof. You don't even need to analyze that much or even doubt your instincts that much, because you will find out sooner or later anyway.
And the
That
caveat.
sounds stupid, I know.
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, and the caveat is with this way of thinking is even if it doesn't work out or if it was the wrong choice, going from that, there's some
Some
just
takeaway.
going. Yeah, there's something. There's
There's
something to
always
learn.
something
Yeah.
to be learned,
Yeah.
always. Like you described it before, like showing or trying the patience way. You can even find meaning in a frustration, in a shitty situation. So even if you were to take the wrong road or the wrong decision, it will still bring you, like, carry you forward on your quest.
Because what's the wrong road?
Right.
And
there is no wrong.
That's sort of the game that I like to play now is how much can I bring things together, like whereas it feels like the wrong way, or it feels like, I don't know, or I think it's the wrong way, or I think it's not useful or negative. I think it's negative, or it seems negative. It's like, well, what can be taken from that? How can I gain from the negative? How can I gain from this? How can I gain from... That's the fun game, is how can I gain from every little thing, even if it's like, oh, that stings a little bit, or oh, okay, what did I learn there? There's a lesson there. There's
Right.
an opportunity for understanding more, and again, maybe just that's a stage of where I'm at in my life, where I'm trying to absorb as much as possible, but that's the one thing I'm pretty sure about, is absorbing as much as possible, and even if I'm like, take the wrong course, because I'm like, I want to take the right course, but then I'm like, I'm not going to be able to, like, what is the right course?
Right.
I'm just gonna
Analytically, you're
make
not-
choices, and then I'm gonna get as much as possible
Right.
from these choices.
I think that's the only way. I mean, I don't know if there's people who can analytically always find the right way that they're meant to be on. Maybe not. I don't think so, actually, that there are people, and if they think that's the right thing, then that's only what they think. It's not necessarily what they need,
Yeah.
right? Or what they truly need. So I don't think you should put too much thought, too much analysis, too much fear even into these kind of things, because you're gonna be fine no matter what.
Yeah. No, thank you, because that's sort of the feeling that I get, but it's good to get other perspectives.
I think it's a bit hard to let yourself fall into that, to trust. That's what I meant by trust the universe, trust the force, whatever you want to call it. As long as your intention is clear, like you have an intention, right? You want to make the world a better place. You want to connect with people. You want to build something for yourself. You want to be true to your passions, to your interests, and that's enough. Then what else you need? So as long as you follow that, there is not much you can fail at.
Yeah. Yeah, having a more general sense of success than a very specific sense of definition of success, because then it's easier to fail.
Right, of course.
If you keep it more general, then you can fall into that area much easier.
Right. And I think nature, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, like the life force that supports you and your purpose, is always so much more creative, so much more powerful in the end to make things happen for you, that you cannot even conceive these things beforehand. So that's why the mind is fine for the navigational stuff around here on this plane like that we're in, but when it comes to the future, to the potentials,
Yeah.
you can forget your mind because
Yeah.
it's not helping. You should leave it to the heart and the gut and to just the experience. Just fucking jump in it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And if you find out it's not what you need or want, then okay, you can still change your direction.
Yeah.
But that would be something I think to consider, especially if you're analytical.
Yeah.
You know, if you're more an instinctive, not overthinker, then that's probably not a very useful advice because you're already doing it. But if you also tend to overthink or to overanalyze stuff, then maybe it's good to just take the plunge sometimes without thinking too much about it.
Yeah. And like we were talking earlier about people that just stay in one mode of life, one mode of existence their whole life. I wonder where that comes from. Like I wonder if that's just over-analysis of, oh, this is the, you know,
Fear.
I have the picket fence, or
Just
if
fear.
it comes from fear.
It's just fear. But overthinking in a way comes also can come from fear because you want to be sure to make the right choice, right? You want to be safe. You want to be always, you know, kind of on top of things, knowing what's going to happen if you push this button. Control, yeah. Control is also fear.
Yeah.
If you think about it, a lot of our choices come from fear or are motivated maybe by fear even. So that is the single biggest obstacle that we can have, fear, that will block our gut, our instinct.
Yeah.
The more fear you have, the less you can follow your instincts.
Well, and that's sort of like a philosophical inquiry I have, if like regarding evil or the concept of evil, which I'm not so sure about. I wonder if that just comes from fear. I wonder if people, like if hurting others and pushing away connection comes from a fear of the unknown, or a fear of, you know, that's the other, you know, I have to protect myself, I have to protect what I have, so I'm going to be, you know, harmful to what's around me, because then that protects me.
They cannot hurt me then.
Yeah, exactly.
I can keep them at a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably true that fear is the mother or the father of disconnection. I don't know, it's so many things. It's very destructive. Whereas if you can just let go of that, these thoughts, what is potentially dangerous to you or to your path, or to, if you can let go, find, like, trying to observe these thoughts and then at some point, you know, deem them irrelevant, that literally grows your wings in the steps, in the potential that you're able to actually, you know, make happen.
Well, what I've noticed in myself, it's if when I notice that I'm afraid, I'm not thinking. Like I have the inability
Right.
to
It
think.
blocks your thinking. Yeah?
It's such a low vibration. It's like a reptilian leftover instinct. And I mean, I'm sure it's useful. I'm sure it's very useful in some situations. But yeah, just the inability to step back and like see what's going on. You know, you're really like one way of thinking. Fear is one way of thinking. Things are bad. Things are bad.
I need to survive. I need to
Yes,
survive.
exactly.
I need to escape. Whatever.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
these kind of, and it's helpful. It's survival. But you don't want to be in survival mode. You want to be in creation mode.
Yeah.
So, and for creation mode, you need to basically try to be fearless. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody really is fearless because we're all afraid of something. In the end, I heard somebody say, in the end, it's the fear of dying, because we don't feel that we're eternal beings. So if you really think about it, it's all like, if you really boil it down to the very core, then it's always fear of dying.
Yeah.
Because even, like, you're not being yourself because you're afraid that somebody might not like you anymore if you say something. Then okay, you lose your friends, and then you might lose your job. You don't have money to pay, to afford an apartment, so you lose your home, and you end up on the streets. You end up without money, and you end up dying on the streets alone. That's kind of the kind of chain that you might do like not even consciously, but this is the deduction of fear that will make you a different, like, even not live who you truly are.
Yeah.
That's the fear of dying, basically. I mean, it's so stupid in the end, because if you believe, or if you trust that you're an eternal being, that it doesn't really matter what you do, you're alive anyway, and you have the right to be alive, and you have the right to be happy, then you can slowly kind of make this, all these chain, like this deductional chain of, like a fear of dying. You can kind of start to break that up, and put away with all these pieces that might have been a train of thought at some point. But now that you have kind of dissected it and understood where it comes from, you can slowly get rid of all these pieces, because the train of thought is not one consistent thing anymore. It's just like fragments that they don't belong together anymore. So you can actually slowly release all of it.
Well, I wonder, like, I think if I think about it, and I don't know now, but I think most of my life, my biggest fear is probably disconnection or misunderstanding. And I think that could be tied into death, but it's almost like after death. Like it applies beyond that, like being misunderstood even after I'm dead. So maybe there are a couple different things, but I think most of them tie to death. Because now I have to think about it. Because for me, I think being viewed as insane, or being viewed as something different, something not acceptable, is more. Not that I've wanted to be acceptable, but just the thought that I've had is, if I'm able to express myself, and if I'm able to simplify who I am, or not who I am, what I know and how I think, into a way that then can be digested and understood by others, then I can be accepted, then I can be understood, versus, and I think that's the only difference between insanity. I think there's insanity, which is could be a genius, right? Could be someone who's so completely beyond our understanding, but they have no way of relating that, and so we just see them as a madman. And then
that's the ultimate form of disconnection. How that is brutal.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in the mind, in the body of a psychopath that cannot relate to anybody, because it's just biochemically, or whatever is the reason, is not possible to have a consistent or coherent thought that is acceptable among this reality, or this normality. That seems horrible. Like, that is something, like truly horrible. I don't think after death you will be ever disconnected, or even having any questions or whatsoever. It's just pure bliss. It's just because you're going back to the one.
Yeah.
You're back connected to the source. So there is no way that you're going to be, that there is any question open, because you know, you're just in the knowing. You're not, it's not a logical knowing. It's really a deep-seated, like if you're on mushrooms or, you know, it's nothing conceptual. It's something so deep. And I guess, and I'm pretty sure actually that's how it is. So yeah, I was just gonna, that kind of, I wanted to tell you that, because after death, it's all clear. It's all, like, all the worries and sorrows that we currently have, all the disconnection that we feel will not be even an issue anymore. It's just gone like that in a moment.
Maybe it's maybe it's that I want to leave something behind. Or I want to. That's been a lot of my inspiration to write, even to do this, is to connect during my lifetime, but also to leave something behind. Because from what I've seen, you know, how I understand it, the only one that's not affected by your death is you. When you die, everyone that knows you loses something. But I don't think, I agree, I don't think you lose anything. I just think you go on. Whether that's nothing or something or whatever, you move forward. But everyone else in this realm of existence loses you. And that for me, like, that is such a, I mean that's like the definition of tragedy, right? And it's like, it's so interesting, because when we experience someone in life, we get one side of them. And I think the cool thing about interacting with people is we get a different side of someone than anyone else gets. It's funny, like, and that expounds when you're in, when you're in a group of 2 people or 3 people, like, that's you get a different side of everyone a little bit, like, everyone's you get a little bit different sides of people are shown in different environments. And so we never, I don't know, I guess I sort of see it as, and it's not necessarily a negative thing, but sort of the feeling that I get is, I'm like, it's kind of unfortunate that we don't get to see someone in their fullness when they're around us. Like, it's, and that inspires me to try to be as genuine as possible and as honest as possible, because I'm gonna die one day. We're gonna die one day. So why not be here as fully as possible? But even so, it's impossible. I think it's impossible to get that understanding across completely, because we don't even understand ourselves. I think that's why we're here, is we're here to understand ourselves. So how could we possibly expect someone to understand us? I think that's such a ridiculous thing. But I guess sort of how I frame it, like something I go back to a lot, that motivates me a lot. When my grandpa died and I was 15, I never got to really experience him as a person. He was just grandpa. And it was frustrating for me to, like, hear people talk about, like, jokes he told, or, like, things that he knew that, like, or, like, everyone knew and I didn't know, because I just knew him as grandpa. I just got that one side of him, which is, of course, different from sides other people got. But I'm like, man, I wish I got to connect with him when I was more mature and got to speak with him like a person, and that, so for me, sort of projecting myself into that situation, not that I am in that situation where I have kids or grandkids or whatever, but eventually I would like to. I would like to leave stuff behind where it's not, where that time thing doesn't matter, You know, it doesn't matter whether, you know, like if a grandkid died when I was whatever, you know, hypothetically, because then they can read a story that I wrote when they're ready to read it, and they're able to be like connect with me in that very real way. And I think, I don't know, there's something there, like, and even if it's not like a family member or something like that, I don't know, it's this willingness to connect. And so we're going back to this, to the fear thing, like I'm afraid of disconnection, but if I'm more honest, I don't know what's pulling me more to creating. Is it a fear of disconnection, or is it an excitement and a willingness to connect? You know, am I being pushed or pulled? Like that's something that's interesting. Because I would say probably initially it was more so like a fear thing, whereas now I don't really consider that as much, and now it's more just an excitement.
That's great.
And,
So
something to
you
connect.
actively converted fear into something more productive,
Yeah.
like changing basically from survival mode to creation mode,
Yeah.
and that's perfect. I mean, that's real transformation. That's really well done.
I think it's the only way to deal with it, like, because otherwise you're gonna stay in that loop. You know,
I need to be remembered. I need to be remembered. Fuck.
Yeah.
I need to come up with some intelligent shit so people will admire me when I'm dead. I mean, you know, you can you can see it a bit like that. Of course, I'm not saying you did that, but you can see how stupid
No, I think
that sounds.
that's probably spot on, actually.
And then, but now you're way higher. Like you already made a few turns, and you completely transformed it into something much more genuine first, and also much more enjoyable for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it to be remembered as a person, but you want to create connection, and that's a different intention than just being famous, let's say.
Sure.
You know, just to to give an example. So
Yeah, it's also it's to create connection, not just for me, but like for others as well. And that's why I like recording it as well, is because how I imagine it, my vision is I want people to be able to feel that connection if they don't have it. You know,
Right.
like I was in a situation where maybe my friends or my family didn't understand me, and I would want to tune into something like this because, I mean, it my idea is to make something that feels like home, in a sense of you're invited, in a sense of you're
people
welcome.
can relate to your experience also,
Yeah.
even if they don't make it themselves. But
Yeah.
it's something very, very nice to offer that to whoever might be stumbling upon it.
Yeah.
And yeah, great. I think it's also a nice thing to build in the end, right? It's creative. It's something that lasts, that will be useful, not just because they remember you, but because, as you say, they can relate to it. It helps others maybe understand themselves or the world better, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you don't do it just for the fame aspect or the being remembered aspect,
Yeah.
it has another purpose. And I think the more purpose you can fit into something, the more it will be flowing through you.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing too. It's like, because I don't know, take some famous author or whatever, like some writer, like, okay, they're famous, right? It's meaning like they're well known, they're well regarded. But where does that come from? It comes from the fact that they were very personal, or I guess it depends. They put themselves into what they created. They put themselves into that writing, and when someone read it, they're like, wow, I really am
Could
able to
feel that
connect with
person.
this. Yeah, I'm really able to, yeah. I'm really
I
able to
could feel.
I'm really there.
Right.
I'm really, you know, whatever. It's real. It's visceral. It's alive. But that was a personal thing. And then enough people felt that, whereas people started talking about it, and then it got into school or whatever, and then it became this big balloon, and then it's like, oh, Shakespeare, whoa, you know, like or whatever. But I would think, I would assume that these writers wouldn't care about that. I mean, I would assume, because to them it mattered more to be able to just express what they had, and for someone to be able to appreciate that. Maybe that's me, or maybe that's a select few, but I would assume, like, if you're really doing something genuinely, it's not, you don't want it to be big and whatever, because then it's actually more hollow. You know, then the soul of what you do is kind of like, sure, more people hear about you, but like, everyone knows about Shakespeare, but no one reads Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Like, and that's almost a worse fate than for not really many people to know about you, but the people that know about you to actually read your shit, or to actually like get into it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's sort of a relationship
Right.
there. Like,
I think it all comes down to being yourself and express as best as you can your own, you know, experience on this planet, because that's what it's all about in the end. And you might not be loved by the whole world, but you know, as you say, if there's a selected few that really enjoy what you're saying or you're writing, what
then
you're
that's the
creating,
world.
that's enough.
Yeah.
That is what, then you have achieved.
Well,
You have touched at least one person with it, you know, and that's enough. You don't need to touch the whole world with your work. You can, as long as you influence only one person or one thing, change one little thing, then you have already had a fucking big influence.
Because I think it's recognizing there's the world, but then every individual person is their own world. So if you're really able to impact one person or a couple of people, I mean, that's enough. I would say that's big. You
That's
know, like
already big. Yeah.
it,
You cannot even wish for that, because it's actually quite a big achievement.
yeah,
Right. So, and if it happens, that's great.
yeah. No, I mean, it's hard to even have that in connecting with people in real life and the material world. Like, there's so many interactions I have with people, and I think it goes down to, you're only able to interact with people as well as they know themselves, you know. So, but there's so many interactions that are just so surface level, or such like a low vibration, and it's like, I'd love to connect more with everyone, and I try to, but then it's like, okay, that's where you're at right now, that's fine.
Not everybody's meant to interact with you even at all, or on a certain level. I think it's just, you will be meeting the people that have or should have an impact on you, or you have an impact on them when it's ready, when you are ready, when they're ready.
Exactly.
And if nothing happens, if nothing really comes from it, then okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you cannot force these things.
No. And I try to see again and again this game of, I try to see if there is any little thing, any little connection, because
There's always something.
There's always something, right?
Yeah.
Like, I used to see these interactions as completely worthless, completely garbage. And now I'm like, well, there's some connection there. There's some, you know, resonance. There's something.
If it's just a blink of the eye, like a smile, whatever it is,
Yeah.
like a tiny subtle thing, then maybe that's it. You don't need to even look for meaning too much in what is being said. It's not necessarily about what's being said. It's more about, you know, the vibrations between two persons, or entities, whatever. Could be between you and a plant, between you and an animal, between whatever. So So, yeah, I guess it's up to our own, but yeah, interpretation in the end. What
Yeah.
we take out of things,
Yeah.
or our own potential also, like to get the best out of somebody or whatever. I mean, it's so
Malleable.
malleable. Yeah, it's a perfect word, and it will always reflect your current state or level of consciousness or the others.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's fine, because that's exactly what needs to happen. You cannot act beyond your consciousness or above or below or whatever. Like, it's, you have to always kind of match that field, that vibrational field.
And it almost feels like a joke to I don't know if it's like analytical thinking or to science or it almost feels like a joke of like trying to figure out what it is, put it in a box. This is what it is. Write it down, because it's everything's moving and everything. You know, it's just funny because you're seeing what you want to see. You know, and
What your mind tells you to see.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily you as a soul, as a human being. It's more like your ego, your mind wants you to perceive a certain situation in a certain way, or, you know, has an idea about some people that, you know, you should have that opinion about them or whatever. It's but it's not that, I think.
Because then the real work is, how much can I change my own mind?
Yeah, that's
If
the
I can
only
change,
work.
yeah.
That's the only work. Make your mind not so reactive. Make it more at peace, at ease with whatever comes. I think that's the real work. And that's what I also meant before, like half an hour ago, with it's not really important, like in the second half of your life, or like in my life now, that, you know, I conceptualize and understand everything. It's more like, how do I feel about it? That's much more important. And that doesn't require a lot of intelligence or like labor, like mind processing labor. That's not really, it's not at all important, actually. And it gets probably less and less important as you grow older.
The intellectual,
the analytical part.
yeah.
But yeah, again, that's just from my perspective now, and I start only to kind of realize it as I go along. Nothing really that I could add to that, because it's, again, just the beginning.
Yeah. No, that's sort of no, it's wonderful how simple and complicated like that, and like the congealing of understanding until it's very simple, and then boom, it's all complicated again, and then it congeals and it's very simple, and boom, it's all complicated again. That process, it's fun, and then it's frustrating, and then everything's a polarity. It's just again, it feels like a joke. Do you ever get that feeling where it just feels like humorous almost? Like,
Yeah, because it doesn't really matter, does it?
yeah.
Does anything actually matter?
Yeah,
We don't
exactly.
know. We really don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, this life that we're living or perceived to be living, is it real? Is it like, does it really matter that much? Of course, you want to make it enjoyable. You want to have a purpose. You want to feel like it's important, and you want to contribute to making others happy, and yourself, obviously, also. But in the end, yeah, the question should be aloud: is it really so important?
Yeah, it's like,
is it? What the fuck are we doing here? I mean,
yeah.
you know.
That's so interesting, because there's a couple takeaways. Like, you can say that, and okay, does it really matter? And then okay, so I'm gonna take lots of risks. I'm gonna do things that are negative for my health. I'm gonna, pollute and be shitty to the environment. Like you could have someone that's like, oh yeah, nothing matters. But then how do you feel? You know, like
that's not how I would interpret it.
but you know
Because
what I'm saying?
exactly,
It could be. And
but then exactly it turns like it goes against you, because you will feel shitty at some point,
Yes.
because you don't see, you don't have a purpose in doing shitty things or hurting others, or it's just detrimental to life, and that's not what I mean. It doesn't matter. It's more like in the grand scheme of things, like seen, you know, like that you're an eternal being, like that's the premise, that where I'm coming from. And every little decision that you might be having or doing in this life, does it really matter or not? Probably not, because you have like an infinite amount of lives, supposedly, which I totally believe. And then, you know, you will be coming to the same experience over the course of many lives anyway. Whether you're failing in this one, whether you're taking this road or that decision, blah, it doesn't fucking matter, because you're here to have exactly the experience that you're gonna have. And that's exactly what you're supposed to have. It's not like you don't have free will. I believe in free will, so you can always choose which way to go. But in the end, in the big scheme of things, it doesn't matter, because you will have the next life, you will have 20 more lives, and in each of these lives you will be a completely different person, completely different experience. So in the end, you will have all the experiences that are to be had anyway. So whether you have them now or in whatever time is not an issue. Time is not real. So
doing what feels right to yourself.
Exactly, and that is all you need to know. Like that's your inner compass, and if you follow that, fuck choices. I mean, it's of course choice to be nice, choice to be taking care of your body, and all of that. That's the good choices, obviously, the positive choices. But as long as the intention is there, you know, you want a positive outcome. You want to make the world a better place. You want to influence your people around you in a positive way. It doesn't matter what else. That's it. That's bottom line.
Yeah, because that's what I was sort of getting at. Like, I think, like, yeah, it doesn't matter, but your intention is meaningful.
That is super meaningful. That's everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's everything.
Yeah.
The rest is doesn't matter, because universe will provide for you anyway. Like if you're following that clear intention from the heart, like, you know, not gonna hurt people or plants or animals or whatever. I'm gonna try to be a creator, in the sense that I'm for life. You know, I'm not against life. I'm pro-life. So, and that's your guide, your compass. You're safe. You're done. You're taken care of.
Even if it's one and done, this life and done, or you know how, I struggle to sort of see a difference from like whether, because I mean if we go back to the source and then it's nothing, like I don't know, like to me.
What do you mean it's nothing? There is not nothing. There is everything.
No, yes, exactly. Like it's what's the difference between nothing and everything? Like, because if you try to imagine nothing, it can't possibly exist. You know what I mean? Like there is nothing. Like I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. It's more of a intuitive understanding that I have that these things are the same, or at least they're equal. Nothing and everything. But what I mean by, you know, is there one life? Is there, you know, I guess like just sort of looking at different like belief systems or like reincarnation or whatnot. To me, the more that I look into them, I struggle to see a separation from them. I struggle to see like yeah, they're all saying different things, but like I think the thing that actually happens is beyond language. It's beyond transmuting in language, and that these are all different reflections and different sides and aspects of what the truth is. So that's what I mean, where I struggle to see see a difference there. But I was just saying, regardless of, if your belief is there's infinite lifetimes, or if it's just this lifetime, which again for me I'm struggling to see a difference in. But whatever that is, regardless, I think your intention is important, because even if you conceive the macro, you can conceive the macro, or you can conceive the micro of this moment. And I think the lesson is the same, that the intention matters. The intention matters, but yeah, being in the present of the experience. And I think that can be seen whether you look at it from the macroscopic view or the microscopic view. It's the exact same lesson, which to me is fascinating. But yeah, it's sort of this idea, the it doesn't matter is that we don't have to worry so much about the see. But then it gets tricky, because now I'm seeing different interpretations of what I'm saying. It doesn't matter the consequences necessarily of our intention, and then you could get into the argument of, like, I don't know, I can see very intelligent, malicious mindsets using this thought process to justify evil doings. I could see that, like, I'm just being in my intention, I'm just slicing someone's throat, like, whatever, I'm just totally taking it to the extreme.
That would
I
be
don't
very
see
hard, far-fetched in my opinion, to justify. I mean, of course, people justify evil since humanity is here.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hitler believed that he does something great. It's
Yeah.
not like he had he was dying from remorse and
Yeah.
he regretted a lot. No, he was convinced, and all of these other so-called evil people, they also think they're doing their best. And
They think they're good.
Yeah,
they think they're a superhero, a good guy.
So, but yeah, I mean, some malicious guy who intentionally twists his kind of arguments around to appear, I don't know. I think true intention, like for a positive outcome, has a certain vibration, and it will always win. If you truly mean it.
Mm-hmm.
It will be. I mean, you cannot make mistakes in that way, if you truly mean it. So I really trust in the. Even though I don't understand shit about it, I truly trust in these simple mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
how the universe works. And yeah, that might be simplistic, but I don't care. That's my it's my opinion. Yeah.
No, I'm right there with you. I like taking this and then trying to, like, shift it and, like, see other sides of it. Like, I wonder, I feel like so many people have been manipulated by people probably more intelligent, and by things that they don't understand, and then they're less apt to maybe exist in this simple, the feeling state, because they did trust someone, or they did think something felt right, and then it ended up biting them in the ass. And now it's hard, I think, for a lot of people to decipher this, and then I think you go back to that analytical thing of, or maybe you just have a pessimistic view on everything now, because you saw it as that way, and that's your protection mechanism. See what I'm saying?
I see totally what you're saying, but then again, there is no good and evil if you again look at it from the macro perspective. These people that you described that have been tricked and now lead a miserable life, let's say, because they cannot trust anybody anymore. That's exactly the lesson they needed to learn in this lifetime, and you cannot have the perpetrator without the victim. You cannot have the victim without the perpetrator. So you need these polarities. So I'm even would be going so far to say that you attract these kind of experiences with your own mindset. Let's say if you're a very, you need to learn a lesson about trust, right, in your life, in this life, let's say, then you will be attracted by these kind of people that manipulate you to actually be, you know, fucked with. So you can actually then at some point go through a deep valley, and at the other end, when you get up again from the valley, you will be much more attentive or more ready to actually not to actually learn trust in a healthy way, like to transmute that initial distrust that you carried with you, because you needed to learn this, you needed to learn trust, you know. And that's why these experience, it's not good or bad, it's just an experience that will help you grow on your path. And therefore you need all of these different existences. Whether you deem it good or bad doesn't really matter, because in the end there is no good and bad, it's just what it is, right? It's just a simple frequency or a simple vibrational signature that everybody has and attracts, like a matching vibrational signature from whoever might be close, or whoever they might attract through their belief system. So there is no such thing as good or bad experiences, because whether you know it or not, you needed this maybe.
Because it's, like when you lose shit, or when shit's broken, I think that's when you realize what's deeper, or what's stronger. And so your idea of trust, or your idea of love, or whatever this thing is that you lost, or that was broken or betrayed or whatever, then you can see what shatters was a much more surface level manifestation of something deeper.
Exactly.
And you can go into that deeper
100%
thing.
agree.
So fascinating.
So yeah, for me that has changed my whole game, like looking at life from a macro perspective, like in situations like this, you know, like that you described with somebody who, you know, like shatters somebody's trust or something like that. You know, if you look at it from a macro angle and over more than just this one lifetime, then that's so liberating.
But you think, I mean, do you even need to go that macro? Do you think you can just look at it within your lifetime?
You
or even
could.
within a couple of years?
Yeah,
like,
you could.
think
It's much
that's
more
liberating
acceptable
enough?
when you can spread it over more lifetimes than just one, you know.
Well, how so?
It's less threatening, I guess, you know, because you could not bounce back from it, from an experience that is grave, you know. And then you will die miserably. I'm just making this up now.
Sure.
And you'll have a shitty life. Okay, maybe that's also fine. But I like to look at it also like we're not meant to suffer, really. We're not really meant to suffer. We have to learn our lessons, yes, and there is suffering, but like from a macro angle, we're not meant to suffer. We're meant to enjoy only. There is no, I mean, of course, as long as we live this existence here on this phenomenal plane, like where we act with our senses that are limited, we cannot really access the full potential that we would have normally, that we actually have, but we just don't remember it in this lifetime. Because our soul and higher self is way more than what we appear to be in this body, in this lifetime. So it just gives me even a more warmer picture, or a more enjoyable framework that I can put things into and make sense of them, as you know, as when I look at life by life. So the more macro I go, the more peaceful I get.
Yeah, or
Basically.
at the very least, you, yeah, peace because you don't have to stress about getting it done fast.
Yeah,
You
it doesn't matter.
Things can happen
matter.
slower.
Chill,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
That's what makes. I'm talking about myself. You know, everybody has their own ideas about how life works and shit. But for me, this was a game changer. Like when I understood that there is no rush, there is no time even. Like in a, in a, of course, in this plane, yes. But like as me as an eternal soul, there is no time is irrelevant basically. So there is no rush. There is nothing to achieve. There's only intention, as we said before.
Yeah.
And then from that you will have experiences, and you cannot go wrong in the sense, oh shit, I should have done that because now it's too late. Fuck, my life is almost over and I'm dying, and no, I didn't do that. Fuck, no, I failed. Like, and then you're completely miserable for nothing because your fucking mind tells you that you missed, but that's just your fucking mind. So relax, and you know, it's for me that was really the game changer, to go as macro as possible.
When did you come to these realizations?
To be honest, in the last 12 months.
Really?
I've been reading a lot about past lives. I mean, okay, I've done my share of documentaries, editing, that sort of stuff, but that was only the seed placed in my mind or my heart, you know, about these ideas, and it grew on me slowly over the years. So I cannot say it was everything done in the last 12 months, but you know, like, to be able to talk about it, to reflect it, that's probably like a more recent thing. But I've consumed and learned. I read so many different sources that I puzzled a little bit together my own worldview, and I kind of have found it through these different sources. I could name a few, but
Sure.
so Dolores Cannon is the most recent that I've been reading a lot. She's done past life regressions for 40 years. She's not alive anymore, but she passed, I think, 2015 or something. So she was quite an old lady already, but she had a tremendous influence on my, you know, finalizing, let's say, the worldview that was already there, but not really I couldn't really put it really together. It all started, I think, with a book 10, 15 years ago that I read, Autobiography of a Yogi, which describes basically the life of a young chap in India who felt early on that he's a spiritual being. He wants to pursue a spiritual path, and that book was like the first eye opener in that sense. And then again, there were a few documentaries that I worked on about past lives, which all touch in different ways on the topic of us as eternal beings in a way. And as incredible as it sounds, what these people have to say, you know, the people who have been brought back and now live a second life basically, they have all the same message in the end. Like, don't worry. It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's not what they say, but that's what I take from it, because I'm putting different pieces together. But they all say the same things in what they perceive, and the unconditional love that they're feeling, that they're getting from this other place, from the other side, and who they meet and how it looks and how it feels especially, and that they didn't want to come back. Nobody ever wanted to come back, but everybody was brought back, and now they have to deal with that life, right? But it's so much more livable and so much more gratifying a life that they're now living
Yeah.
than before. Yeah, that it's still worth, you know, having been brought back and being able to reflect on that and share it with others.
That's interesting. So you don't think, because kind of a idea that I have is that we choose this life, or do you think it's something that we're forced into?
No, everybody chooses exactly what they're getting. They might have forgotten their soul contract, as Dolores Cannon phrases it. So according to her, what happens is that when you're between lives, you're usually like being advised by a couple of like wise entities, older, more experienced or more advanced entities, however you want to put it, in what exactly the lessons you should be learning this time around. You know, how your experience on the planet should, you know, kind of plan out more or less. And the problem is that you cannot take this knowledge and this all knowing that you're in this state. You cannot possibly bring that into your earthly life, because that's the point, right? You have to kind of forget to be able to live this shitty, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
it's not
no,
a
no,
shitty
no.
life, but this incomplete and very frustrating life.
Yeah.
You have to forget about this the completeness and just I don't know what to. There is no word
Yeah.
how to describe that. But you cannot take that with you, that knowledge. Otherwise, your life experience would not be useful to you. So you're coming here to learn lessons, right? And you have to come back as many times as you want, and you can choose even to not come back. I think that's a sentiment that Dolores has written about many times. So it's not that you're being forced. You're usually that's what you wish to do. So yeah, sorry, I lost the thread there.
No, but
what was your question?
Like the choice, or like we choose this life or we're forced into it. But then, so then we take these lessons in life and then we bring them there. But then the lessons of our past life, like what sticks with us? What stays with us?
Nothing really, because that's not the point. The point is only to learn, to grow, and to bring back, to contribute to the universal consciousness, because that's what it's all about. It's all about consciousness in the end. So God, like the all encompassing consciousness that we are part of, basically. We're not separate from that. We just forgot God. So our job is to bring back our totally unique experience and totally unique learnings to that universal consciousness, because that's what consciousness does. It always wants to grow. It always wants to expand, right? So we're just a little fucking tiny piece of that big fucking ball of consciousness, let's say, and every time we're going down here, we're gonna bring back some new aspect, some new facet to this consciousness, and it goes on forever. It cannot ever stop until every single experience has been made, and then it will just restart from zero. That's basically how I understood how all these entities that she has regressed. I mean, she has worked with so many entities, and not even humans. I mean, in the sense that some entities have been talking through humans, obviously, with her, like in a dialogue while they were in hypnosis, in deep trance, basically. And it wasn't like asking questions and you get a yes. No, it was fucking full sentences you can read. She transcribed everything like word to word, basically. She taped every session that she made in the last 40 or plus years, and she that's all she did basically. She put it, like everything she learned in these 40 years, she put like in different books, but according to a certain topic, let's say. So she has from 150 therapies, she has learned something about Jesus, or somebody who has something to say about Jesus consciousness or Christ consciousness, as they call it. And then she would make a book for that, right? Even though it was like 20 years that she had to pass and do regressions to get all the information for this book. And then she did, at the same time, she did different books, like another topic. Doesn't come to mind now, but anyway, she has written 15 books about all the different aspects and facets about past lives, basically, or not even past lives, that's way too specific already, about spirit, about consciousness and spirit. I don't even know what the word would be. Spirituality, it doesn't really say it, but anyway, it's fucking fascinating, and you don't need to believe it. It's some of it is really unbelievable, or it sounds unbelievable, but that's not about. It's not about finding the one and only body of work that has it all. It's just, again, also an aspect of her personality, because she had that specific job to do, to bring light into this world now that the general consciousness is kind of rising. Raising the frequency, the vibrator rising. Now the world slowly starts to be ready, or the collective consciousness starts to become open for these kind of ideas, whereas 20 years ago everybody has said you're fucking nuts, and nobody has listened to her, and now people start to wake up to, okay, this is relevant, this is fucking something we should know, we should actually, use it. So yeah, it's all dynamic, it's all absolutely fascinating. But again, it was just a game changer in the sense that I could release so many fears that I had by taking that macro perspective. Because life can feel overwhelming when you're in the thick of it. When you're not seeing the horizon anymore, when you're so full of in the mud that you want to end your life, basically, because you feel it doesn't make sense, and I cannot relate to that shit anymore. So that's why taking a step back and looking at it from a more higher perspective, it's very helpful, or in my case.
So was this just something that you were like reading from other people, or did you have like your own experience like with psychedelics or without, like that sort of brought you to this understanding?
I would say psychedelics have helped me to actually just open my mind to it, to be actually open to receive that information. Without psychedelics, I probably wouldn't have believed any of it, or said this is fucking bollocks, doesn't make sense, or this is just pure, it's entertaining, but cannot be, it's too crazy.
Yeah.
But now that I already got a glimpse of this oneness, this feeling that everything is connected, and just because we don't understand doesn't mean it doesn't exist, So who are we? Like, we're so fucking tiny brains trying to make sense of it all, and then I would use any I wouldn't dismiss any source. I can still, I have to process and see how I feel with it. If I feel it's wrong, then I will not, I will choose not to believe it. But if it resonates with me, then hell yeah, why not? Who am I to know if that's true or not? Nobody knows. So it's just using as many different sources as you can and validating them.
Validating them through your internal...
own internal set of principles, set of whatever your guidelines are, your compass, your inner compass. A lot of it cannot be explained because it's just not from this world, obviously. So, yeah, you got to trust, have faith, believe. I mean, that's what religions are about also, right? I mean, the Bible, if you take that as an example, is unbelievable in many aspects. So, okay, if somebody can believe in that, I can believe in something else that is unbelievable. No, nothing wrong with that.
Well, I wonder if it's because the thing with faith, like it creates reality, like it makes it so it is true. What you believe in is true, and so I wonder if that.
But that's quantum mechanics, right there.
Yeah.
So we are the creators of our own reality. If you believe in quantum physics, quantum mechanics, then we are completely able, with our minds, to create a reality that we want, right? And so again, we're coming back to the intention. If your intention is you know, positive, you wanna do something good for this world, then you have all the forces behind you.
Yeah.
So and that's something I keep reading with Dolores. The other side, like the spirit realm, is also completely up to you, like how you believe it will be for you, like after death. So if you go into death with a lot of fear about getting into hell, then you might experience that because you're manifesting it. And I mean, it's probably a bit more complex than that I'm making it now, but that's really a principle that is valid in the whole universe, right? Like, because it's quantum physics in the end.
It's almost scary how much power we have. I mean, I think and that's another thing with psychedelics, that like people talk about good trips or bad trips. Like, I've had many negative experiences, or I would say punishing experiences on psychedelics, because it's almost like maybe I got into it too young too. Like, it's almost like having fucking super speed or something, and then like walking on a tightrope. You know, it's like if you like shift your way that way, you fucking shoot off over the cliff. And you didn't even realize before that, like, we are so powerful in terms of where we put our direction of thought.
Totally.
And like you look down there, boom, you're down there. You're in hell. You look up there, boom, you're up there. It's like, it's crazy how, and I think it's harder to know that not having had the psychedelic experience.
Oh yeah, it's almost impossible.
And maybe some people are more in tune with it. Like, I'm not sure, but and maybe it's just an observant thing, because I think it's just a slower thing.
You need way more time to
way
discover
more time
that.
and way more information to
100%.
condense it into the same understanding. But yeah, it's just like realizing that, where it's like, oh, you're totally in control of where you are. It's amazing, but then it's also like fuck, like we have to be more conscious of. I think that's something nowadays that, like, you know, people talk about diet and exercise and being healthy, but in terms of where our mind's at, and these toxic mind states that we put ourselves in, comparing ourselves with others, digging at others, like, and just these really like low frequency things. I don't think we're really conceptualizing the repercussions on our being, on our like mentality.
Not yet, yeah, but you said it perfectly. I mean, be careful what you wish for, because we're so fucking powerful that it might happen even, but
Yeah.
it's not necessarily what you
Yeah.
what you need. It's what you
Yeah.
want, what your
Yeah.
mind tells you, right? So that's why I'm saying be careful what you wish for, because yeah, we're eternally, like we're just incredibly, like infinitely powerful.
Yeah.
We could heal our bodies instantly if we were to harness that power. You know,
Hmm.
we could live forever basically if we were
You think
able.
so?
Yes, I mean eternally. That means in this life, in this body for 1,000 years, no problem.
You think it's
But
been done before?
yes, it's been done.
So like in the Bible type.
Not
like,
even Bible, but
but like in the
earlier.
Bible they talk about, you know, fucking
That's
they lived 500
120
years.
yeah, I mean
Peop-
I'm not sure. Old Testament probably there are some mentioned like that, or even longer than 500, but yeah, it's I think it's a recent discovery that, or understanding at least from archaeologists,
Maybe
and
it's a rediscovery. Maybe we
rediscovery,
knew it
yeah,
before.
that 1,000 years was more or less like the norm, you know, at some point.
Really?
Yes. And it's just because we're so degenerated, we're not so connected anymore, we are just not harnessing the full power. That's why we have all these diseases, we're not connected, we're actually so disconnected. So it's thanks to technology that we can actually expand our current life expectancy from previously whatever 35, 50 now to 75, 90, whatever. But the real technology would be, you know, have our minds in the right setup. And then we don't need technology at all. We can do it all with our minds. We don't need any external thing to become this eternal being. Because we are already, but we don't know it. We forgot it. We forgot.
So then that's such an interesting frame, because then what about like like what about the shit we consume? What about like the shitty oils or whatever else?
You wouldn't. I mean, that's a natural thing. When you start changing your mind, you will not consume low vibrational shit anymore. It's as simple as that. Because you know, you can feel it that it's not good for you. So you wouldn't do it. It's that simple. You wouldn't attract it anymore. You wouldn't even see it probably, because you're not going to the supermarket anymore.
Yeah.
You're in a different, now you are already so like so evolved mentally that you create your own, you're in a different life now, right? So it's all a process, obviously. It's very long, and I also sometimes have my moments where I doubt this. I mean, if it was true that we are so powerful, why can I not heal myself? But it's not as simple as that, obviously, because we still need to first understand all this trauma that are the true cause for our sicknesses, for our sick bodies, because this traumata has changed our mind, our thinking, our belief system into, you know, making us sick, basically. So it's first thing is to kind of, I mean, it's not the first thing because it's all so connected. You have to go along with it until you get like to the same point ever and over again to resolve it, to transmute it and let go. And then you have healed one specific little thing. That doesn't mean you're completely healthy now. You know, I mean, people have been targeted specific sicknesses with these kind of things, like with mental abilities, and have healed themselves completely, like from being paralyzed, from being like even physical damage. It's not just like organs that don't work anymore, or cellular or immune system or anything like that. They have cured fucking like broken bones and shit, like really reconstructed with their mind the body. And it's no I mean, that's Joe Dispenza, for example. You might have heard of him. And there are many others who have done the same. They have reconstructed by sheer mind and willpower their own body. So go figure.
Wow.
It's just a thing that just comes to, that is being rediscovered again.
It's so interesting because there's that side, and then there's the side of people that are like, technology is improving enough for me to, maybe we can live lifetimes that are longer because of technology, or because of these other things.
Yeah, and that's a valuable, that's a choice. And I wouldn't even say that's bad. And the other thing is good, and that's the only thing. We should not do that, because there is no good and bad. So for people who choose to have this like technological help, and they're gonna freeze themselves after death so they can be resurrected in the future. All right, go for it, buddy. I will not stop you. Do that. If that's what you want, fine. I know that I'm not gonna do that shit. I'm gonna do it differently. So.
But what do you think? What do you think about like uploading yourself to the cloud so that we can be immortal mentally, or you know this concept, right? Where like we can, if it's possible, like this Neuralink thing, and if this technology progresses, being able to upload our mind to the cloud or to the server or whatever, and then we can live in some sort of paradise there. What do you think about this concept?
I think there is a room, a point, there is a space for that in this existence. So who am I to say to somebody you cannot do that?
Mm-hmm.
I think there is, again, from a macro perspective, I know this experience has to be made. So why condemn it? Why judge it? Why tell anybody it's bad? No, we have to make this as a collective consciousness. We have to fucking make this experience. So go for it, please. Others have to spray glyphosate on their fields, because that's a fucking experience they have to make, because they poison themselves, they poison their children, So, but that is so powerful if you think about it, because you can let go of all the judgment.
But okay, so maybe this is a futile effort, but trying to understand why we have the many experiences. My hypothesis would be, well, we go through and we spray the fields with glyphosate and we poison ourselves to realize that that's not what we should be doing.
Exactly.
But it just for some people maybe the realization happens faster, maybe the realization happens slower. But I think it's a general direction of understanding where we should be moving in. And then I wonder, well, shit, does everyone have to do it? Or, because this is the thing, like with education, can we learn deep enough, or can education be thorough enough? And this is where I think education completely falls flat on its face. It just is not even close to as rigorous as firsthand experience. Mm-hmm. But if we can learn more and become better as educators and learn better systems of educating, whether that's through stories or I don't even know, that's what I'm curious about. Can we transmute this information of firsthand experience more and make that more accessible, so that we don't all have to fucking plunge down, but we can still have the lessons from that. Is that even possible? Because through a story, like when you read a story, right, and like the traditional hero arc, they start out and by the midpoint they go down, and then at the end they go up. With a story, you follow that, and the thing is, we never go down, but then we end up having sort of these same revelations, and of course they're not as visceral than if we were actually fucking crossing the lava and fighting the dragon or whatever, but there is some sort of like the knowledge is sort of shared to some extent, and I wonder if that can be possible, or if we just have to live it all.
I don't know if every soul has to live every single experience. I don't think so. Or well, if you come from the premise that every soul is different, every individual has their own perspective, then probably yes, we have to go through every experience individually, because they're not the same. Like if you compare two individuals, they might have a different perception. So I don't know. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we should actually talk about these things and share our experiences with each other, because it can help. It can it can help you, that you don't have to come back for the gazillion time on Earth to make a particular experience, because you already have understood from somebody else that has told you how they felt and how they moved through it and how they transmuted it into something beneficial, and that's all that counts in the end.
And you have to be ready. That's the problem. It's like the phrase, the lips of wisdom are open to the ears of understanding. You have to be ready to understand. Otherwise, you're not gonna. Otherwise, it's just noise. Otherwise, it's just the bugs chirping around us. There's no information present within it unless we can match that vibration and then receive the information.
Right.
So that's the other trick too. It's like, again, like you could fucking do lectures about permaculture and no one would care around here, because they're not even in that frame of sight whatsoever.
Depends how you frame it, how you talk about it.
Yeah.
That's also a different thing. But yeah, look, the more we think we know, the less we really know. It's all just it's a joke. But it's a cool joke.
Yeah.
So again, this has changed my life for sure. Like all this macro perspective.
Do you have a desire to, like, what's your is it just like this is a personal takeaway, or what's the next step for you? Is that going into your project with syntropic agriculture, or do you want to focus more on educating others? Like, what direction are you taking?
I think it's all connected in the end. I mean, I love when I have understood something, when I feel it, when I can feel that it works, then of course I want to share it with others and kind of pass the knowledge, transmit the knowledge to as many people as possible. So yeah, learning goes hand in hand with teaching in a way, for me.
Because you have to teach yourself.
Yeah, first of all you have to teach yourself, and then you have to find a way to transport that knowledge as easy as simply as possible to others. And when you can do that, then that means you have really learned it. And that's usually you need to take a few attempts before you can actually tell it in a very, very understandable way. But that always will reinforce and make your own knowledge like stickier.
Yeah.
You will not forget so easy.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's because you're carving another pathway. What I find is whenever I explore, because that's more of what it feels like. That's more of what teaching feels like, exploring the concept again. It's like, okay, I understand, the rough idea of what's going on here, but then to get it across, I still have to dive into it, and now I'm back in the woods again, and I'm exploring again this concept, this information, and that, I don't know, it's more, it's like I learn every time I explain something, and maybe there is a point in time where, you'll have carved every path within the concept, but I doubt that.
No.
I doubt it completely.
No.
Every time
especially
you get
a
it across.
natural concept that is not really graspable for us because it's way too complex, and you can never understand it completely. Therefore, you will always find a new facet here and there by explaining something, or then, is that really true? I mean, last time I said it differently and that sounded much better that time. So what I mean, then you listen into yourself and feel what is really like, what do I really want to say and what feels true, even though I don't, I cannot even explain it scientifically, but from my understanding, that's how I think it works, and therefore you'll find you narrow it down. You get a distillation maybe of all these ideas at the end, all these concepts, that you distill it into a more pure form, and it's never going to be 100% pure, obviously, because we're just not ready, or not. Well, I think we would be capable as our body and capacity goes, but since we're so separate from nature still, there's no way that we can nail it to 100%, like this distillation process, the knowledge distillation. So I don't know, it's a lifelong learning, and that's great. That's basically the reason we're here, to become more complete and more better beings.
Yeah.
So I have to get some sleep. I'm in pain and I'm tired, and I need to be in the Borgo at 5:30. So I would, even as I could continue. It's not like it's not interesting to me, but I think you have quite a bit of stuff to work through.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
I hope that's what you were looking for.
Oh no,
more or less.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe you weren't looking for anything and you just got what you got.
Exactly.
So that's
what I was
also
looking
fine.
for. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad I have we had this chat.
Yeah, me too. Even because the way that I look at it too, selfishly, even if it's not like, even if all this shit fucked up, still nice to just have a good conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something I really appreciated. You are the only person that we hung out so much talking on this table. Normally we're just like, after lunch is done, we're okay, ciao, we need to rest, bye. Of course, it's also different because you were alone. It's not like, we felt great, like, okay, ciao, do whatever the fuck you want. It was a bit better when Nick was here. I think it just gives us more a feeling of, okay, it's no problem if we now retreat and, we kind of chill or whatever we do. Because, you have somebody to relate to. It's not like we leave you kind of on your own down there and, don't give a fuck about what you might be going through. So that's part of it, but I think the bigger part is because you are a curious person and you ask interesting questions. So, and yeah, we're here to share, obviously, also our experience and what we know.
Thank you.
So it's been a pleasure.
No, it has, and I have to say that's been my favorite time here. I'm surprised, like
the lunchtime.
Yeah, being able to talk to you guys. That's
cool.
For me, that's been the most valuable. I mean, like working and being able to talk with you guys if we're working on stuff together, that's been very valuable as well. But like just being able to sit down and just, pick your brain, selfishly, But but also connecting and
you found the right persons, I guess, because not everybody likes to share what they know, and I think it's just why. What do you have to keep for yourself? It's getting more valuable when you keep it to it's just ridiculous. That concept in a way, but I'm glad you found us and we found you, so
cool.
Win-win.
Definitely, and I'll plan to be back, and when I am, I'll give you guys a holler.
Sure.
Sweet.
Do that.
Thank you, man. It's been really good.
Yeah, same here, man. Pleasure. Pleasure helping you out. We talked for 3 hours, more or less.
Oh,
no,
perfect.
sorry. Wait. 3 hours.
I've got 250 right here.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect.
more or less.
Perfect.